Good morning. Today I'm going to talk about adaptation of plants. What do I mean by adaptation? Plants grow in different habitats. This means that I have plants that grow in desert. I have plants that grow in forest and I have plants that grow in water. So plants can grow in different habitats, okay? The climatic conditions such as rain, temperature and light change from one habitat to another. To understand this more, I'm going to give you an example. Here I have the forest habitat and here I have the desert habitat. I want to talk about the climatic conditions in both habitats. In the desert, the climate is very hot and it rarely rains, while in the forest, the climate is not hot and it rains often, okay, or it often rains. Also, I noticed that because in the forest the climate is different from the desert, the plants that live in the forest are different from the plants that live in the desert. Here we notice that in the desert I have few plants, while in the forest I have many plants. The plants that live in the forest are big in size or large in size, such as the coniferous trees, okay? So, the plants that live in the forest are large in size. Examples are the conifer plants that live in the desert have spine-shaped leaves. Can I bring a conifer from a forest and let it live in the desert? Of course not. The conifer will die in the desert. So the conifer can't live out of the forest. It lives only in forest. This is called adaptations. So the conifer is adapted to live in forest and is not adapted to live in desert. Can I bring cactus from the desert and let it live in the forest? Of course not, because the cactus is adapted to live in hot areas such as desert. So adaptation, or what do I mean by adaptation of a plant? A plant is adapted to live to its habitat when it cannot live in another habitat. For example, the cactus is adapted to live in the hot desert, so it can't live outside this desert. Now I want you to open your books on page 19. I want to talk about adaptation of desert plants. Okay, we all know that in deserts it rarely rains and the temperature is very high, okay, or is high, and it is a dry habitat. Okay, so how do the plants adapt to the dryness of the desert? I want you to look at the figure here. What do you notice? Okay, we notice that the plants that live in desert have very well developed roots. Why? Because these roots allow the desert plants to absorb water. Okay, these plants are said to be adapted to dryness due to their well developed roots, so they absorb water by their well developed roots. So these roots help the plants to adapt living in the desert. Also, I want you to look at the leaves of the desert plants. You notice that in the figure, or we notice that in the figure here, I have spine shaped leaves, okay, such as the cactus. The cactus, for example, is a desert plant that is adapted to dryness. How? By having spine shaped leaves. This plant stores water in its thick and fleshy stem. Its leaves changed into spines prevent it from losing water. So the spine shaped leaves prevent or doesn't allow the plant to lose water.